it on YouTube. Questions. Well, more than that, we want to have a conversation with you. So if you've ever had a question that you've been afraid to ask, what does Jesus think about the President of the United States? What is the relationship with Jesus like? If God really is all loving, why is there so much hurt in the world? What is sin? What is the point of church? Hey there. Have you ever had a question about God or Christianity or church, or maybe even about sex or race or whatever you can imagine? Here at Stonebrook, we want to answer those questions. Well, more than that, we want to have a conversation with you. So if you've ever had a question that you've been afraid to ask, what does Jesus think about the President of the United States? What is the relationship with Jesus like? If God really is all loving, why is there so much hurt in the world? What is sin? What is the point of church? Is premarital sex a sin? Is the coffee at Stonebrook really better than the coffee at home? Does God love me? Will any of this actually make my life better? We have an anonymous text line where you can ask us literally anything. And we encourage you, test us. Try to trip us up. We want to be a resource for you. And if we aren't having a conversation, then we can't really be a resource. So help us help you and help us help our community. Ask us the tough questions. You keep saying community. What does that actually mean? Is Jesus even real? I'm struggling with my marriage. Is there anything you can do to help? So hit us up, text us anonymously. You can check out our Facebook page or our YouTube. You can leave a comment. You can do whatever you need to do. We are going to open all avenues of communication just so we can hear from you. So what have you wanted to ask?
From the very beginning, when we started Stonebrook, we said we want to be a place where every member is a minister, where every member is a missionary, where we can equip. In fact, that's what, as we're trying to have this zero-based thinking, as we go back to the New Testament, that's what the Apostle Paul said the purpose of ministers was, to equip those that are Jesus followers to serve their friends and their neighborhoods and people in their community, and not just wait for Sunday morning where we get together and we have a great time. I think that will always be our rallying point, and that's what I want Stonebrook to become, a place where Stonebrookers all over the city are impacting their friends and neighborhoods and different organizations that need help, that certainly don't look to the church for help. So many times the church has been the ones that's going to the community asking them to help us. But we want to become an organization that resources the community. And then we get together on Sunday, time to time, and we celebrate, and we get encouraged, and we get more equipped and resourced, and we actually go to the community and we impact people there.
Hey guys, some of you are wondering, is Stonebrook ever going to actually get together in person again? It's been almost a year since we had official meetings. So, we ever going to get together? Well, the answer is absolutely. February 21st, which is a Sunday, we are going to have a meeting here at Stonebrook in person. Stonebrook Center here in Waynesville. The catch is this is going to be a meeting that is only open to what we call the Dream Team. What is the Dream Team, you ask? Well, the Dream Team is anybody at Stonebrook that is involved in serving in any area. What we're going to do with Stonebrook, as we'll begin to reveal at these get-togethers, is we're going to actually build a brand new thing, a brand new entity, a brand new way of reaching out to our community here in Waynesville. It will still be called Stonebrook, but it will be, in many ways, very different. I'm very excited about it. I think it's something that all of you are going to love and enjoy. But at the center of it all, the focus, the foundation of everything we are going to do here is serving one another, serving others in our community, serving people that need our help in all kinds of different ways. So therefore, these first meetings will be for those that are focused on, that are centered around serving one another in our community. So you think, well, I'm not on the Dream Team. Don't despair. You can sign up for the Dream Team. You can go to www.stonebrook.tv/serve, and you can sign up online, and we would love to have you as part of our Dream Team. We would love to have you as part of our hangouts and get-togethers that will be coming up. The band will be there. I'm sure we'll have donuts and coffee, and it will be so exciting to see each other again. We are going to require social distancing. We are going to require you to wear a mask. It is our intent, because we are in a military town, because we have so many military people that are involved with us, and we want to reach the military, to comply with our military neighbors that are basically saying any business, any organization that has any get-together, you have to, put certain ways of meeting, ways of getting together, ways of interacting into place, one of them being wear a mask, have social distancing, in order for military people to participate. And we definitely want military people to participate. So that's Sunday, 10:30 in the morning, February 21st, and we'll be talking more about it, but just wanted to give you a heads up that there are good things on the horizon. Fear not, we are going to get together. We're going to have a great time. There will be childcare for your kids. We're not going to have the way we've had kids in the past at this particular time, where we have Kids Rock and Kids Zoo, but there will be childcare and they will be taken care of. We're going to eat together. It's basically going to be a party. It's going to be so good to see each other. I don't know if we should be hugging each other, maybe, air high fives or fist bumps from a distance, but we really look forward to seeing you again, February 21st on a Sunday. See you then.
Hello.
What's up?
It's Sunday morning once again. We're here.
Yeah.
I'm Joe. If we've never met before, I've got my good buddy Josh on the other end. He's actually our audio engineer.
Yep.
Hosting with us today. But yeah, we wanted to come and check in, and we don't want to just show some stuff that we worked on. We actually want to have a little bit of a conversation with you live this morning. Mm-hmm. So real quick, hi, Christina. She just said hi to me directly. Good to see you. I hope everything's going well. It's been a little while since I've actually gotten to see you. We'll actually probably share your story and baptism again here pretty soon. Some other stuff we do. Sorry, I'm talking to people that are live in the chat right now. Joellen. Kayla, I did want to mention your question. It said, I would love to sign up, but I have 3 little kiddos. Is that even possible? Absolutely. Not only is it possible, but we would love to take care of your kids while you are serving with us and having a good time. An awesome look. Somebody from Stonebrook just put a text number on there for you, so you can check that out. But cool. So yeah, it is Sunday, January 24. Today, the Bills are playing the Chiefs.
Yes.
Is that right?
I believe so. The guy on the other end of the booth is more the football expert than I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bucks are playing the Packers.
Bucks and Packers. Okay,
Yeah,
Bills
they're
and Chiefs, Bucks and Packers. Good morning, Eric. Always a pleasure to hear from you. So yeah, if you're a football fan, it's a good day to be alive. Another thing we want to shout out is right here in Waynesville, Missouri. Once again, look at the beauty of this donut. Just take a moment. I know this is a stream where we want to talk about like a little bit of religion and church and stuff, but we're talking about real life. Donuts are real life. Bethany, Merry Christmas. Go Chiefs. Oh, you noticed my sweater. So go Chiefs, go Packers. I don't know that you can say go Packers in the chat here.
Why not?
So, well, hold on a second. Josh, you're from
Wisconsin.
Big fan of the Packers. I'm assuming.
I'm a fan, yeah.
You're a fan.
I don't religiously follow them, but yes, I'm always happy when the Packers win.
Well, when the Chiefs play the Packers, maybe they already did. Who are you rooting for?
Oh, Packers all day long.
Okay, that's what I thought. Oh,
Why?
no.
It's my homage. It's my
It
roots.
is. It's where he's from.
Yeah. I don't knock on you for rooting for the Bears. Even though the Packers beat the Bears every
just
time
got
they
really
meet, pretty
dramatic
much.
here in the booth. We got Trey from Chicago. We got Josh from Wisconsin. Yes, go Donuts. Anyone needs to beat Brady. I agree with that,
Agreed.
Bethany. Everybody agrees with that statement. Awesome. Hey, Rob, let's go Blues. Yes, finally something I can agree with. Hockey. Well, it's good to see y'all this morning. We're gonna get started. If you didn't happen to catch the little message that Mark had before we went live, you can watch the stream later, but I'll let you know. On February 21st, we are going to meet in person here at Stonebrook Center. You heard that right. Meeting in person with Stonebrook, February 21st, 10:30 here at Stonebrook Center once again, in person, just in case you didn't believe me the first time. But that's a Dream Team exclusive event. What that means is that if you'd like to serve and contribute to our local community, that's going to be first and foremost what we prioritize here at Stonebrook. That's what we want to be known for, is we're for Pulaski. So if you'd like to be involved with that gathering, maybe you haven't gotten out of the house in a little while, February 21st, sign up for the Dream Team. We'll be here with some music. The band's going to play a couple songs. Well, actually, I'm in the band. I'm going to play a couple songs.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. Josh is going to
I'll be
mix the
running
music.
sounds.
Trey's going to be here behind cameras. Just like things used to be, only like tenfold better, I think.
Hopefully, it's been a while, so we might be a little bit rusty. I'll say that.
Yeah, a little rusty at first, but I really like the direction we're going now.
Agreed.
I have a lot of hope for Pulaski County. And it just, I'm intrigued to see what Mark has to say on the 21st. I know a little bit because I'm around Stonebrook all the time, but I don't know everything. I work in production, but I do know that Pulaski County. Can you throw a link to sign up for Dream Team? Absolutely, I'll throw that out here in just a second. Pulaski County is going to forever be different and better. So
Yeah.
cool. So if you're a football fan, enjoy your day. Don't drink too much. If you do, stay home. If you need a ride somewhere, give somebody a call. Go to stonebrookcares.com.
Yep. Stay home or have a plan,
Stay home or have a plan. Exactly.
and follow through with the plan. Don't deviate.
Yeah, don't have 3 beers and be like, you know what, I wasn't going to drive, but I feel like I can take a couple steps forward. Don't do that. Anyway, so yeah, eat a donut, enjoy your life, enjoy the games, go Chiefs. We will catch you a little bit later, but until then, Mark is going to come talk about the end of the world as we know it. Will it be live streamed? Hold on a second. Before we switch, usually we'll just go straight into the stream here. Joe Ellen, will it be live streamed? What are you looking for? Mark is coming up just right now, so I will follow up with you in the comments. But let's go ahead and get that started. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day.
Have a good one.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name's Mark. I'm one of the leaders here at Stonebrook, and we're really glad that you took some time out of your weekend to hang out with us. What was this? That there are bad things coming. But our question is, and this is what we're looking at, is what did Jesus say? And are we understanding correctly the things that Jesus taught, the things that some of his followers taught? And you have to understand that we are looking at an ancient collection of writings, documentaries, letters, written in different types of genres thousands of years ago in an ancient culture. And this is, as we said before, one of our stated purposes in doing this is not only to give some revelation into this particular subject, but to help all of us, especially those of you that are Jesus followers, but even beyond that, those of you that maybe have been to church, you've been confused by what you've seen, you've been confused by the Bible, I want to help you to get a little better understanding of how to understand what you hear in the Bible, what you read in the Bible, what you hear from pulpits or from preachers, and be able to determine, is that right? Is that correct? It can be so confusing. There's so many different interpretations. But beyond a person's interpretation, the Bible itself teaches us how to understand it. If we'll just sort of remove our religious glasses and ask ourselves, am I bringing my own thoughts? Am I bringing my own preconceived notions, maybe that I've heard even subconsciously down through the years? I've picked up certain ways of thinking that as I read these texts or I hear a person talk about them, I already have in my mind what they mean to me in the 21st century. But again, dealing with this ancient book that we're separated by thousands of years in a culture that is so different from us, and we're trying to understand what did especially Jesus mean? Who is he talking to? What was his purpose? What was he trying to say to those people years ago? And then how can we extract principles and apply them to our lives? So, like we said before, we're going to nerd out a little bit on this, sort of take our time and walk through some of these passages and see, did Jesus mean these things? And the way we understand it, is that correct? Now, when we were here last week, we had looked at several scriptures, and we won't go through all of them. But one thing we talked about, and this will come up again and again, and not only in our this particular subject, but as you read the Bible, you have to be very, very careful that you don't have an anachronistic tendency to apply the idioms, the way of thinking, the culture of thinking of a 21st century American to a first century Jewish person who is writing and, of course, then would be understanding. The audience that this author was speaking to, how were they thinking? And the one thing that Jewish people are very famous for, very prone, is they love to speak in figurative, creative language. And they also love to speak with hyperbole. They love to make a huge, outlandish statement for effect that in the 21st century, us being much more systematic, much more literal, much more scientific thinking, we will take something as they actually meant that, when actually, in reality, it's just a figure of speech or an idiom. And we're going to look at those. And we ended up with something that happened this was 50 days after the crucifixion of Jesus, after he's risen from the dead, he's ascended into heaven, and the Holy Spirit descends upon a group of his followers. They begin to speak in these strange languages, all these supernatural occurrences. A big crowd gathers, and they're wondering, what the heck is going on? Well, Peter, one of Jesus' followers, he jumps in front of them, and he says, this, what you see, was predicted long ago by the prophet Joel. Joel is a person that lived 600, 700, 800 years before this time. And what Peter is doing is he's going back and using a passage of scripture that his audience that had gathered, this crowd that had gathered, would understand. And he's applying what they would understand to what they're experiencing now. And he goes on and he says, that Joel was saying, in the last days, God says, I will pour out my spirit upon all people. Now, the operative phrase here is last days. And this is what Christians love to say, that we are in the end times. I've heard this expression, we're in the last days. But Peter said that the last days were 2,000 years ago. I'll pour out my spirit upon all flesh. In those days, I'll pour out my spirit even on my servants, men and women, and they will prophesy. This is the Bible, Peter in the Bible, talking about something that has already happened 2,000 years ago. I'll show wonders. And then he gives these different signs: blood, fire, clouds, the sun will become dark, the moon will turn blood red. Well, on this day that this is happening with Peter and the disciples in the city of Jerusalem, these aren't literally happening. The sun didn't turn dark. The moon didn't turn to blood. This is a Hebrew idiom expressing that this is the end of the world as we know it. Things are about to radically change. It was an idiom of the times to express political upheaval, to say that the way that you've been experiencing life is indeed going to be different from now on. Then we left here last week, and this is where we'll pick up, that Jesus himself made this statement that has been sort of co-opted for years from various Bible teachers to try to say that there's going to be a rapture, and some people are going to be taken away, some people are going to be left behind. That night, 2 people will be asleep in one bed. One will be taken, the other left. Well, that certainly sounds dramatic. That certainly sounds ominous. People are just going to be asleep. You'll wake up in the morning and the person will be gone. 2 women will be grinding flour together at the mill. You'll just be at work one day. You'll look over at the next desk and one will be taken, the other left. Well, what in the world is Jesus talking about? Well, his disciples are actually then wondering themselves, what are you talking about? He's speaking to the followers that are right around him. Now, this has been used to say that someday in the far distant future from the time where Jesus is talking, that he's going to return and he's going to take away the good people. But his disciples say to him, where? Where will this happen, Lord? And Jesus answers, sort of strange. He says, just as the gathering of vultures shows there's a carcass nearby, so these signs indicate that the end is near. Now, I'm going to talk about that just in a moment, but I want to point out one more thing to show you that Jesus can't be talking that someday the good people will be taken away and the bad people will be left here to be punished and experience some awful fate. The next verse, or actually it's another place before this where he's trying to explain this. And then we're going to come back to this, the vultures and the carcass. Well, in fact, let me just stop and talk about this. Jesus is actually predicting something, and for the rest of our time, I want us to see that Jesus is talking to a first century audience about something that is going to happen to them, not people in another country thousands of years later. In 70 AD, it actually started in 66 AD, the Jewish wars began to occur. The Jewish people over and over and over rebelled against Roman occupation in their country. This happened 3 decades or so after the crucifixion of Jesus. Jesus is predicting something that will prepare his followers for what's going to occur, save not only their life, but the mission that he's giving them to spread the gospel, the good news of his kingdom around the world. But eventually in 70 AD, after a 4-year period, 4-year period, where first of all, Vespasian, general from the Roman Empire, came to the Jewish area to crush a rebellion. The Jewish people over and over again, they of course didn't want to be occupied by a foreign country. They considered it blasphemous that these Gentile nations were in their holy lands at all, and especially since they were trying to force them to maybe not worship their God the way that they wanted to. They had nasty Gentile habits and all these Gentile symbols, and they disrespected their religious ways. And so the Jewish people over and over rebelled against this and tried to throw off this Roman occupation. And the Romans eventually got tired of it. We won't go into a huge history lesson, but Vespasian came into Rome, into the Jewish area, and he began to squelch this uprising by using terrorist acts. And what he would do is the Roman soldiers would come into Jerusalem or come into the area, and they would go into random houses in the middle of the night, and they would take one person, random person that's working over here, and they would take one person. You would wake up in the morning and you would look over and say, "Where's my husband?" We go outside, and there he is crucified on a cross. They rounded up thousands and thousands of people, Nero, eventually, who was in charge at the beginning of this, eventually, all along the Roman road, would crucify Christians, hang them on crosses, and even while they're alive, douse them with oil and set them on fire. It's where we get Roman candles from, to light the roads at night with these crucified Jesus followers. And he began to use these terrorist acts, and the Roman soldiers would then go through the town pointing at these people on the cross who were suffering in agony and their horrified families, saying, this is what happens when you defy Rome. You're going to end up just like these people on a cross. One was taken, the others were left behind. Let me point out something that I'm going to reiterate here with something else Jesus said. The one that was taken was not the lucky one. In what Jesus is talking about and what actually happened in history, the one taken was the one that actually suffered. The one left behind were the ones that actually benefited. We see this further when Jesus explains in another verse. He said, when the Son of Man, that's a term that he used to refer to himself, when the Son of Man returns, and we'll talk more and more about what that actually means. When Jesus said, when the Son of Man, once again talking to himself, returns, he wasn't necessarily talking about an ultimate ending to all of history when he would come back to earth and set up his eternal kingdom physically. He wasn't talking about a rapture. He was talking about a judgment that eventually happened in 70 AD, as we'll talk about, when the Temple of Jerusalem was destroyed. The Son of Man returns. It will be like it was in Noah's day. Now, whether you believe Noah was a historical event, worldwide flood, I don't particularly think it was, but Jesus is using a very common story that people understood. He said, when this return happens, when this thing that I'm talking to you about happens, it will be like it was in Noah's day. In those days, Noah's day, the story of Noah, the people enjoyed banquets and parties and weddings right up to the time Noah entered his boat, and the flood came and destroyed them all. I believe it's the King James Bible. It says the flood came and took them all away. Jesus, talking about his return, says it'll be just like the flood was. Well, in the flood, the people who were taken away, the people who were swept away, weren't the good people, and they weren't the lucky ones. They were the ones that, in the story anyway, were the wicked people. They were taken away. The ones left behind were the people who were being protected by God in a boat. So why do we take these things that Jesus says and turn them on their heads, make movies, preach sermons, write all kinds of books, and everybody goes, oh my goodness, yeah, people are going to be taken away, when Jesus said the ones that are taken away were the bad ones? It just doesn't make any sense. Be very careful when you're reading text that you're not bringing a preconceived idea to them. But we'll talk about this next verse in just a minute. Going back to where Jesus' disciples said, when will this happen? And Jesus said, well, wherever the carcasses are. Once again, this is something that has already happened in history. The Roman army, again, seeking to squelch a rebellion, an uprising in the Judean area, especially Jerusalem, came into town, took one or two from different families, crucified them. Now, the thing about the way the Romans crucified is the crucifixion made a point. They could just walk up and, run a spear through somebody and kill them, but they wanted to make a statement with the crucifixion. This is what happens when you rebel against Rome. And to the Jewish people, what they did after crucifixion was adding insult to injury, because they were not allowed, the person that was crucified was not allowed to have a proper burial. To the Jewish people, they wanted to have a ceremony, they wanted to mourn, they wanted to gather the family together. It was a big, big process of grieving, and to them, it was part of their religion. But the Romans would simply take these people down, throw them in a mass grave, sometimes maybe just throw them in a ditch or a valley to the southwest of Jerusalem, the Valley of Hinnom, and just pile up these people in mass graves or just mass in this sort of junk heap, garbage place. Well, in order to find your loved one, all you had to do was wait for the vultures. As the vultures begin to circle, because there were a bunch of dead bodies, then you could perhaps go sift through the pile of death to find your loved one and hope to give them some sort of burial. This actually happened in history. Jesus isn't talking about some future him appearing in the heavens and us flying up to meet him. He's talking about the destruction of the temple and the city of Jerusalem by the Roman army under Titus, Vespasian's son, in 70 AD. Now in Mark 13, and we just have a few minutes left, but we'll see how far we can get with this. Something actually happens, and Jesus says some more things about this that have been used for several decades now to try to say that there's going to be an end of the world and it involves us being caught away to heaven. At that time, after the anguish of these days, and actually we'll talk a little bit more about these idioms here. The sun will be darkened, the moon will give no light. Once again, Jesus talking about this event that's going to happen. The stars will fall from the skies, the powers in the heavens will be shaken. Here again is Jesus using a Hebrew idiom that has been used for, like I said, decades. When I was a child, I kept wondering, oh no, someday I'm going to walk out and the moon's going to be blood. And so surely I'll be able to tell that Jesus is coming because, well, the sun doesn't work anymore. And, oh, by the way, the moon's blood. And look, all the stars are falling. But it's not a literal occurrence. He goes on then and says, then everyone will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds with great power and glory. Again, a big mistake that we make 21st century is trying to take things literal. That the Jewish people and Jesus here is meaning figuratively. He's using Hebrew expressions. Very dramatic, very hyperbolic, very, oh my gosh, what has happened, to express that this will be the end of the world as you know it. And he's actually, there's a similar thing that happened in Isaiah, for example. The prophet Isaiah is predicting something that is going to happen to the nation or the group of people known as Edom. These are descendants of Esau, who was a brother of Jacob. The Israelites are descendants from Jacob. The Edomites are descendant from his brother Esau. And this is Isaiah predicting that some really bad things are going to happen to them. And they actually did happen to them in history. This is something that's already happened. Their dead will be left unburied. The stench of rotting bodies will fill the land, just like Jesus was just talking about. Wherever the vultures are, that's where the carcasses are. He's referring to a very similar thing. The mountains will flow with their blood. Well, you mean there'll be so much that'll be up as high as the mountains? Or this is hyperbolic language. The heavens above will melt away and disappear like a rolled up scroll. Well, did this mean they actually looked up and it was like the top of a sardine can that it was? No. The stars will fall from the sky. This didn't actually happen. It's a figure of speech. Like withered leaves from a grapevine or shriveled figs from a fig tree. This judgment on Edom, and this is something that's very interesting. Well, it's interesting to me. If you're a Bible nerd like me, this may interest you, but this should help us to understand the way that the Bible is meant to be understood. The judgment on Edom will, now look at this. This is a little bit off our subject, but not, will never end. With the smoke of its burning will rise forever. Now, Edom is a place that you can actually go to today. And then it goes on to say, the land will lie deserted from generation to generation. No one will live there anymore. I got bad news for you. People live there right now. Edom is actually, it's sort of a desert place. It's not a metropolitan area by any means. If you've ever seen the movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, you've seen Edom. toward the end, when they go into that temple-looking thing that is in the side of a rock, that's actually a place that exists. It's called Petra, which means rock. If you're familiar with the 70s Christian rock band, Petra means rock was one of their albums. But it's this structure that's carved out of the side of the mountain that's in Edom. But there wasn't smoke rising there forever. Well, when the Bible says that smoke and burning will rise forever and it will never end, it's hyperbolic languages or expressions. Be very careful, even when talking about, and this will be another subject we'll talk about someday, the subject of hell. It talks about that it burns forever. The smoke, the worm never dies, and the smoke never ceases. Well, here in the Old Testament it says exactly the same thing, and it doesn't literally mean that there's literal smoke that will rise for literally forever. When the Hebrews people said forever, what they mean is a really dadgum long time. You understand dadgum? That's in the Greek, dadgum. But this will happen for a really, really long time. This is something that Jesus is talking about. And here's where we'll wrap this up today, and we'll pick up here next week. But as he came closer to Jerusalem, Jesus is headed for the final week of his life right before he is crucified. And he saw the city ahead, and this breaks my heart. He began to weep. Why did he weep? All of a sudden, just imagine, you're headed to Jerusalem. The disciples think he's about to be king. We're going to Jerusalem. We're going to have a party. We're going to be in charge. And Jesus suddenly breaks down crying. Why? Well, we'll talk about that next week. We'll leave it there for today. Just leave you in suspense for an entire week. But I really do appreciate you hanging with us. I hope this makes sense. If you have questions about it, love to have a conversation. You can send your questions to 415-SB-ROCKS. But thanks for being here. We're going to talk more about this next week. I hope you have a great day today and be back with us next Sunday as we dig a little deeper into what did Jesus mean when he talked about the signs that would happen before he returns. Is it what we think? I think we'll discover some real interesting things next week. Be here. See you later.